Hello, and thanks for joining the session. Today we're going to continue looking at adding various types of OAuth functionality to the Astrocasts site. So far we have the ability to connect to Twitch. We're using that to ensure that Twitch has the most updated titles. If I go to Twitch's dashboard, we can see that it currently has the title of Astrocast Session 6. And if we look at the production site, we can see that the on-air episode is Session 6 as well. So far the Twitch stuff is working. We do have some work done so far on the YouTube side of things. So we're going to take a look right now and see which things we actually have enabled. Let's see here. So we had some code that we were working on that was actually going to publish some stuff. So let's just run this code and see what sort of output we get. So we're going to run guessing invalid credentials. Okay, so this makes sense because the credentials that we're getting here are actually going to be outdated. So if we look, we just have this hard-coded value down here. So these credentials probably expired. So what we're going to do is run the command that we added. So we'll do bin console, just get an idea of which things we have. And I think I have an app, YouTube Connect app. So all this does is generate the app level URL. So bin console, so this is the OAuth URL at the app level. And the big problem that we ran into with Google, actually, this reminds me. One of the big problems we ran into Google was that I didn't actually have a YouTube account set up with my dflydev.com address. There's no docs, no warning, no description as to why you have issues, but apparently if you don't have a YouTube account associated with this email address or this Google Apps account, it just tells you invalid credentials. So it was incredibly not useful. The other thing is, unlike the Twitch API, the redirect URL that you pass needs to be publicly accessible. So this address right here was our sharing URL. So I'm going to generate a new sharing URL for us. And we'll have to actually update the code once we do that. All right, so we're going to use valet share. It's going to generate a brand new public URL. So I am going to visit this URL just to make sure it works. Awesome. Then we can see that we're actually getting the code here. So now the thing that we need to do is probably try to log in here, and it's going to give me an error. And I'm going to use that error. Well, it didn't actually give me an error. Okay. So I tried to do the redirect to the old shared URL. So I'm going to have to go to the YouTube developer console. Here we go. And what I have to do is go into the credentials and add the bits that we need. So if I go here, what I can do is I can add this new URL. But eventually I'll get this. I think that I can't do this part until I've added it in the other location. So I need to actually go to OAuth consent screen and paste in just the domain. And unless I do that, and this is the other thing. So I actually have to click save now. It isn't obvious that that's the case, but I actually have to click save. And then I can go here, and now I should be able to generate this URL. All right, YouTube OAuth redirect. Okay, so we'll save this now. Okay, so now I need to generate another URL with the correct redirect in it. So there's another place that this is set. So I need to change this address here. So anytime you're running command line code, the Symfony router doesn't know what URL that you're accessing it from. So it's going to require you to specify what you want the host to be for any URLs that are generated from the command line. So I need to enter that here. There we go. All right, one more time. Let's see if this works. Ooh, redirect URI mismatch. All right, so this is good because at least it's giving us an error now. But apparently, this value is not right. Grok.io. So that's it. So it's 2C93. Let's make sure I have these right everywhere else. 239C. Oh, it's an extra slash. It's super picky about validating the input, but apparently it allows you to generate URIs that don't make sense. All right, there we go. Let's save this now. So I gave Twitch a pretty hard time with its API, and it's been so much more difficult with YouTube. It's so much more picky about things. Okay, so this is good. Invalid parameters for the value. Non-public domains not allowed. Huh. Astrocasts.test60. Did it generate that URL? YouTube. Let's see here. See if we can see it in here better. So we have client ID, destination, and Grok.io, approval state. Yeah, that looks like it's... Huh. General auth flow. Why is this not working? Valid parameter value for redirect URI. All right, so I think that's actually coming from our controller, and this is likely where we ended up last time, is getting this machine. So we have something went wrong. All right, so all right, so if it has this, we're going to get the error, which is awesome. Code. Okay, so I think the problem here now is that the way that this was getting these access credentials, so we were generating the YouTube API in this factory. Where were we configuring it? In here. All right, so, okay, this is going to be tricky. It's URL generators, generating based on the wrong information. So this is generating the absolute URL from the command line using the ngrok URL, but it's not generating the redirect URI correctly on the receiving side. So this actually could get quite tricky. I don't even know how far into the app we're getting here. If I reload this, yeah, I don't think it's actually even trying to turn that token in. So let me see what I can do here. What's this URL generator? I'm going to find out what we have that references this. And actually, I think I'll use, rather than the IDE, I'm going to use Symfony's tool. We'll do debug container. All right, so we have an instance of the Symfony routing component. All right, so we're going to look for this class. So I'm wondering if we can get I wonder if there's a way that we can give a different request context. So let's see, request context, base URL. That's host name, port. So there's information here for doing this. Generate. All right, so I'm going to hack this because I just need it to work. I don't want to deal with this for very long. So we'll go back here. Copy this code that actually does the work. Generate URL. And then rip this apart. This feels really dirty to me, but I'm not sure there's much else I can do. Let's do $host port. Just going to use that for now. Let's see if we can get that to work. Redirect URI host. And then we're going to need to auto wire that value. So let's go ahead and go into services.yaml. We need to find our YouTube config. We need to pass another value. So this is for the redirect URI host. And then we're just going to use the request context. Let's see where that is. Here we go. Okay. All right, so this will give us that value. Again, this is really dirty, but it will get us to the next level until I figure out how to do this right. All right, so inside build, what we're going to do is get the URL. We're going to do parse URL, URL, and let's see, URL component Pieces equals parse URL. Okay. Double check the out because I think I can get the whole array. Mixed return value. Okay. Okay, so we get all the pieces, and then we want to take the pieces and set the host. We're going to use the YouTube config to get the redirect host URI, or the redirect URI host. And then all our pieces, port equals, I don't know if we actually need to do anything with port. Host path query string. Let's delete it. And this is the part that's going to be a little sketchy because that's could break things quite a bit. And then I need to know how to return a URL based on this. Reverse. HTTP build URL. Let's see if that's just built in now. Okay, that's giving me a little warning because XHP is missing. Let's see if that's actually true. All right, let's see if I can create. Okay, call to that doesn't exist. Pickle HTTP. All right, let's try it this way. Build URL from pieces. Let's try that now. Non-public domains. So it still generated that value. Astrocasts.test. Why did it do that? Let's see here. Oh. Okay, so YouTube config, redirect URI host. All right, let's see if we can do not even getting to this point. Because it's... Okay. So what we get here... There. So it's still generating that URL. Interesting. Oh, I wonder... I bet this gets actually set to whatever it really is. So even though we're setting it to that value, so router request context host, router request context host, no, so there it's fine. Get redirect URI host. So we create a client, set the client ID. Oh, we're generating it here. Well, of course we are, that's fine. So this wasn't an issue in Twitch, because Twitch didn't care about the public nature of this URL. All right. Oh, okay. So it's host, not host name. Host name. Huh. It's actually host. Oh, okay. So see what's wrong. The actual URL has host name. So it's actually the host key, not host names. That's my bad. I wonder what this value is. Because if I can just use that, that might be better. Oh, no. Okay, so now I think we might be able to get this to work. Okay, cool. So now it's generating the correct URL after a fashion. So this is super hacky and will fail horribly. Okay, redirect you. Still seeing a redirect URI error. All right, let's go here. YouTube. So it's redirecting me here to C93 YouTube OAuth app redirect. Let's go back here. That value's right there. Okay, so let's find out where this could be coming from then. So up to this point, somewhere in here it fails. So get access credentials. We're building it here. Fetch access token with auth code. Okay. Get client, get redirect URI. Oh, it's... So the problem here now is that it's generating an HTTP URL instead of HTTPS. All right, so we need to go back here. Where's scheme? Let's see here. I think that might actually be, yeah. So we'll get the scheme also. So we have redirect URI host. Let's do redirect URI scheme. Go back into our YouTube config. This is real. This, like, as we do this, it feels more and more dirty. But I don't know if there's a better way to do this just yet, and this will hopefully eventually lead us to where we can actually use it. There we go. We need a getter. I really thought we'd be able to get further than we are today. Yeah, so we're going to just set the host, set the schema, or scheme rather. So we actually generated the redirect URL correctly, so we got something different this time. We get bad request. So what I'm guessing is that since we actually got an error before, this code has already been accessed once incorrectly. Now it's actually working, I'm hoping. So let's try to generate another URL. Okay, so now we're actually getting the access token, which is awesome. So now we need to be able to store this, which I don't know if we got that far before. So let's go into YouTube controller. Oh, it may have. Let's go check our database. So we have our single table that has the app OAuth credentials. We have Twitch, but we don't have YouTube. So it didn't actually save. I'm guessing, oh, actually we got DD here, so we didn't do anything useful. So let's try it one more time. This time we'll either get an error. Okay, so expires doesn't work. So we actually need this back again so we can see what that structure looks like. Because apparently it's not identical to what we got back from Twitch, which isn't entirely surprising. All right, so expires in instead of just expires. It would be great if this was all, I don't know, standard. Access token instead of, oh, access token is correct. Token type, which is what we get there. Not going to store created, I don't think. Scope is scope. All right, so we have those things, but we don't have a refresh token. Yeah, I don't know if not sure what that's going to mean for us. To get refresh token, you have to pass access type offline. Okay. So ensure you get a refresh token. Okay. Okay, so let's see if we can do that then. So let's go this factory. And so create auth URL. Okay, so access type. There we go. So if we go through the dance again, hopefully this time we get a refresh token. Access token, token type bear. So it still didn't give us that. Offline. What was the other thing it said on here? Token on doing the OAuth again and again for the same account. Prompt consent. So just prompt. Yeah. All right. So let's see. Okay, so this is new. Now we get a refresh token. Very nice. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and store this. So we have, where's the brief? Did I delete it? Yeah, I did. Okay. All right, so refresh token. So the only thing that was really different from the way Twitch did it was expires versus expires in. I'm going to remove this. And it's still going to give me an error, but at least it should store it. So let's go ahead and try one last time. Must be of type array, string given. Okay, so line 40, set scope. Okay, so just need to see how the scope is actually being stored. So scope looks like it's space separated. All right, so I should be able to explode. There we go. Okay, so this tells me that we got through successfully. We, just like the Twitch controller, we're not doing anything afterwards. I do see that we're still throwing this URL up here. Looks like, I don't know when Joe mentioned it, but it looks like he's been sharing stuff on chat. Google's docs are so terrible, it's amazing anything they have works. I definitely could agree with that. All right, so let's go back into YouTube API, because I think that's, no, yeah, so here's what we were doing there. So that should get rid of the little thing that's hidden. So let's check the DB. Sharing what I'm known for, snark. At least you're known for something. All right, cool. So now we have YouTube in here. So that's awesome. So that means that this is working. This refresh token should hopefully mean we can try re-authenticating sometime later this week to make sure that it still works. So now that we have this part set up, we can try and do some other interesting things. So we can go back to our little sample app here. And what we were doing here was actually writing the information. So once we have the access token, we can actually do stuff with this. So let's go look, see where we did that with Twitch. So I think we had it in a message handler. So we had command Twitch publish metadata handler. So we're going to create something like this, but we're going to create it for Google or for YouTube. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's create a new command. Well, command handler for YouTube. And we're also going to have to create the corresponding message as well. So let's go create a directory called YouTube. I think it just has yeah, we don't need anything. The nice thing about this is that we don't have any IDs or anything to worry about in this particular case. So we just say publish metadata for YouTube, and that's pretty much all we need. So publish metadata. All right, so that's going to be there. Doesn't need any other context than that. But for the handler now, we're going to need some stuff. So this is going to be more or less the same, except rather than talking to the Twitch API, we're going to be talking to the YouTube API. So let's go ahead and copy these, and we'll name it the same thing, publish metadata handler. And instead of the, we still will need the session repository, but we are going to need the YouTube API. So and since I did this differently, yeah, so this actually takes the API factory, so it doesn't need the factory. It's a little different than what we did with the Twitch implementation. So we're going to rename this. So it's just going to be YouTube API. Oh. There we go. Okay, so publish metadata. Now we need to make sure and bring in the right one. So we're going to bring in the one for YouTube. We're going to get our next session. And then we are going to come up with the title, and then we're going to tell the YouTube API to update channel title. update live broadcast title. There we go. And I'm not doing anything with the description just yet. So in theory, this is all we need. So let's go look at our commands, our actual console commands. And I think we had a Twitch publish metadata command. So we're going to create one for YouTube as well. So bin console make command app YouTube publish metadata. And the one that we had for Twitch was pretty simple. We get the command bus, and that's all we really need. So I'm going to copy that. Actually, I'll just copy it all. This is going to be a problem. Twitch publish. I'll leave that for just a minute. The issue there is that technically the macOS file system is case insensitive, but you can't really rename a file to the same name just with a different case. At least that's been my experience. So let's see what happens if I do it. YouTube. All right, so it's going to rename things. Maybe it works this time. I'll be happy if that's the case. We're going to use our command bus. The constructor needs to call the parent constructor so that this can be treated as a service. And then this is just going to publish the right metadata command. So we're doing the one for YouTube. All right. So if this all works now, I'll be pretty happy. So let's do bin console app YouTube publish metadata. Cool. Now what we need to do is go to here and run our consumer. Oh, and then we got an error, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. Deprecated thingy. Let's see. It's a warning. Oh, so it finished handling it. So let's go see what YouTube has to say. It still says get some PHP coding here, which is not what I would have expected. So I think part of the problem here is, let's see. So dispatch, we actually got the command. So let's see, publish metadata handler. Oh. Okay. Awesome. So we have some work to do in here, which is fine. This is pretty much what we were expecting, I guess. So what we need to do is finish writing this class. This was the test code that we had before that did some of the stuff. So let's go ahead and see what the first step was. It looks like the first thing we needed to do was to get the list of live broadcasts. So the general idea here is that this YouTube API is going to encapsulate all of this junk that we need to do. So really the only thing that my code cares about or wants to do is update the title for the live broadcast. So I'm just going to try and do all of this stuff in here. So we have YouTube client, which I think is YouTube API. So I'm going to do a search and replace here. Anytime we see YouTube client, this is actually YouTube API. And then we're going to get that from here. So we're going to ask the factory to build it and then we can start using it. So first thing is we're going to ask for all of the live broadcasts that are currently active. In my case, there should only ever be one, I think. So we'll do that. So we're going to ask for the content details. Actually, is that what I'm doing? So snippet. Yeah, actually, I think this is overriding that. So let's do snippet here. Okay, so let's let's go a little further and see if we can go further. So if there are no live broadcasts, I want to know about it. So we'll do, maybe we'll also do a logger in here. Yeah, so if live broadcast equals 0, we are not live. Okay, then let's get the live broadcast instance. Actually, you know what? I don't even need that. So this was just a way to sort of explore this data. But what we really need to do is just set the data and then set the instance. Oh, actually, you know what? It looks like we do. All right, so I'm just going to copy all of this. There we go. I'll print this out just so we can see it, but we don't actually need that there. Okay, so I'm just going to delete these bits. So we get the first live broadcast, we create a new snippet, we set the title and the description, and then we set the snippet, and then we tell the live broadcast to update the snippet with what we have from live broadcast. Thing is, we want to use title and description here. So let's do $title and $description. And if there's no description sent, I'm going to set the description to blank. I'm going to start the listener again. And let's publish the metadata again. Oh, we got a nice little error. All right. Google service exception, required, login required. Okay, cool. So we can just keep running this again. All right, so Google service exception. Let's see where this came from. Publish metadata handler, line 40. Oh, yeah, so we need to, we need to get our access code. So access token, no access for you. That's because we actually need to get that up here. So fetch access token. All right, so the factory gets the URL generator. Access token. Oof. We're going to have to just store this, I guess. no, that's not where we need this. So the problem that we have is that we need to find a way for this instance of the YouTube API factory to have an access token. So I think we actually need it here. And the way that it will work, YouTube API factory, so that I think we need to give it the where it's going to be used. We need to pass in here probably YouTube API the access token. Or we can assume that the YouTube API itself can get it, which might actually be the better option. So let's do that. So in addition to these, we're going to get the app OAuth credentials repository. Yeah. And then we need to consume it. All right. Okay, so get authentication URL, get access credentials. All right, so YouTube API. So I know that in this function I need to have the token. So what I can do is YouTube API set. Yeah, so we did need it here too. So set access token. Find for YouTube. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to create for YouTube. So the difference between these two is that this one will consume the exception. This one doesn't. So this one, it has to exist, otherwise it'll give you an exception. So we're going to do find for YouTube. YouTube. Get access token. All right. Now we need to go back into our YouTube API. Why is that not working? All right, so we need here set access token. There we go. All right, let's try it again. All right, so we got some PHP coding. So this is the original data that we had. And in theory, it should now be updated. It is. It's updating with the wrong information because it's our dev environment, but it looks like it did actually update, so that's pretty awesome. So the thing that we want to do now is to automate this. So first of all, let's get rid of this. Let's return. So I'm going to have to come back to this. All right. All right, so actually let's add a logger so that we can get a little bit more feedback here. Private logger. Just while we're here. All right. So I don't have any other context I want to pass with that. So if I'm no live YouTube broadcasts, that's fine for now. There we go. We're going to do the same thing here. Not update. And then we're going to pass the context of the exception. Just so that we can hopefully have some logs to look at some point. All right, so let's try this again. Cool. All right, so I think that works, which makes me super excited. So let's see. Cool. Okay, well, I think we're at time anyway. So it took me a full hour to get all of this going again, which I really didn't think it was going to take that long. I thought maybe we'd be at where we're at now after maybe 15 minutes. So, but we do have it all in one place. The next bit that we're going to do is to look to see about automating this. And I think that's going to happen. Let's see here. I think we need the stream. Bring stream online. Interact. Publish Twitch metadata when Twitch stream changed. So we're going to do this class, except we're going to do this for YouTube. So publish Twitch metadata when stream changed, which will allow us to just automatically update the title as soon as I go live with something. So that's kind of the general idea. We might actually, on the next session, also take a look at doing something more with this stream. Right now, this stream concept doesn't have an actual, it doesn't generate any events of its own, but I think that most of the things that we want to do should probably come from bringing the stream online or offline instead of being tied to Twitch. Because right now, Twitch is what's actually doing all of this. It's generating the initial webhook to say that things are online. But I don't like everything coming from Twitch. I'd rather have things come from the Astrocast concept of there being a stream being online or offline. And I think that was something that I worked on my own at some point. Let's see where we have that, just so that people have an idea. Stream, here we go. We have a stream manager, and it does some basic things. It's either online or offline, and it's all currently stored in the cache. So it's being stored in a persistent Redis instance. So bring session online is just setting a cache key to the guest stream URL. So it's guessing which one should be now or in the near future to determine which URL we should be looking at. Bring stream offline, it sets the stream manager URL to null. Cache get here, guest stream URL. This is where it looks for current and upcoming sessions. If it doesn't have anything, then find, which this actually uses this here. It's looking for current and upcoming events. It's kind of recursive stuff here. Jumping into the calendar, so it actually looks at the calendar first to see what's scheduled, and then it does some additional work to sort of sort things. So anyway, this is the general idea of a stream. I'd like to have this be more authoritative. Essentially, this should generate an event when it brings a session online, or when it brings a stream online, and then this should generate an event as well that should turn the stream offline. But I think those are the things we'll probably focus on the next session tomorrow. So thanks for joining. Refactor this. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. All right, thanks, everyone. Have a good night.